This is Mark Stewart Greenstein. I am in a not new studio, but I like the look. This is not a glaring light. This is sunlight. This is the Daily Fire. It is for Sunday, April 22nd. I want to talk about forcefulness, about ideas, and about CBAC. And they're related. Candidates who are forceful are necessary for Connecticut. We've dug ourselves in such a hole that mild compromisers are not going to get us out quick enough. And maybe more importantly, they're not going to show the world around us that Connecticut is a different state. We need a dramatically different type of governance to lure more businesses and lure more families. And yes, keep families here when they're considering going elsewhere. I'm a candidate of some pretty good ideas, and a candidate who would use the forcefulness when needed in the governor's seat. I'm not a fan of compromise. I'm a fan of winning over to a right position. Convince me of what's right. I've got some ideas, a lot of them of what's right, but I'm open to being convinced on most of them. Once convinced, we should go forward forcefully. Ladies and gentlemen, let me apply this to CBAC. I see 3 reasons for keeping the negotiated agreement from last summer, and 1 reason for not. So let's go one at a time. Keep. 1, because we honor promises. And a legislature that rightly or wrongly says this is what we're granting for the next 10 years, I think deserves to be trusted. Okay? Even if it's not the best of agreements, there's an integrity aspect that we should attempt to continue. Connecticut has lost a lot of its financial integrity. Our bond rating is lousy. If promises go out the window, it makes it worse. Number 2, we should aspire to the kind of economy that we had when we could give lavish health benefits, lavish pension benefits. We did that without thinking twice for many years. And we were girded by a very good economy that I contend will be back. We've got to get a lot of other things going in our favor. And thus, I would trade those who disagree on CBAC for everything else. In other words, I won't use the 1 reason that we could potentially abrogate CBAC if you give me everything else that will financially help the state. So what is that 1 reason? It is we might not be able to afford it. Literally, if our bond rating goes further down, if our paying off debt is where all our money goes before we can pay current beneficiaries, we might have to undo. Don't want to come to that. So please, let's put it in perspective. In the 1980s, Connecticut was able to give its state employees lavish benefits. Why not continue? And the reason why I think it's reasonable is that nothing has fundamentally changed since the 80s except government. Okay, we still have a well-educated labor force. We have very good manufacturing. We have decent, not great, but decent natural resources. We haven't had a crisis. Texas did for a while with oil, and it came back. We haven't had a weather crisis like Puerto Rico. The only problem has been government. But government is the easiest thing to change. It is within our control. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give that a try. Let's get these other proposals that will cut our spending in needless areas for spending, that will raise revenue, that will bring in more business, and let's keep the CBAC agreement as long as we possibly can.